Hello all, it's the 10th of February 2018 and you're here with Dan in Essex, UK. So, certainly experiencing wintry weather at the moment. Had a lot of rain, very wet. It's been raining today, so like a spitting rain, but certainly there, and a chilly wind as well. And what this has done is made me think about peach leaf curl. Now, I've spoke a lot about peach leaf curl in the past, and many of my regular viewers will know ways in which you can prevent it. But I was thinking that a lot of people will be purchasing trees around this time of year, either pot grown or bare rooted, whatever, mail order, or even from some of these supermarkets now. You can buy trees for like £4 a tree, which can be good if they're a good tree. Can be bad as well, wherever you get them from. But peach leaf curl, now, just a quick thing about it, it's an awful disease for peaches and nectarines, and you really want to take steps to avoid it, because if you go and purchase a tree and then it gets peach leaf curl and you lose it, you don't want that, do you? And it's a horrible, horrible disease. I'm sure if you put it into Google, peach leaf curl, and look at images, you'll see. But the leaves, they get like a horrible red blistering on the top, and they fall to the ground, and the tree has to replenish these. And after a period of time, it slowly weakens the tree, and quite often the tree will then die. And you really want to avoid this. And what I have seen cases of is the lower branches getting peach leaf curl, and then you just end up with some branches at the top, and then of course the tree is weak and it can't fruit as well as it did before, and just causes a problem. So you want to avoid it, and it's caused when the temperature goes below 16 degrees C during the winter months, and then the tree will then proceed to get wet with rainfall, and that's when you start getting problems. Now of course 16 degrees C in the UK, you know, not particularly cold really, but of course it will happen. And you know, rain, if the tree's outside, the tree's going to get wet. And there are methods that you can employ. I mean, one thing that I like to is to, obviously you can see, growing it in a polytunnel so it's not getting wet, or a greenhouse. Another method, if you do grow it outside, is during the winter months cover it up with like a polythene cover so it doesn't get wet. Something along those lines you can do. And there are you know, sort of chemical sprays as well that you can go into if that's your thing. That's not, you know, it's not a thing that, you know, I want to start doing, and I wanted to sort of you know, find a way of doing it that was relatively low maintenance, because the tree is in here, and this is on a semi-dwarfing rootstock. Now it states on here, this tree, Dixie Red, an American peach variety which came from Blackmore Nurseries a few years ago, it states that it could get to 3 to 4 meters high, but you know, I'm not worried about that because I'm going to keep it pruned in here. I'm going to keep it nice and pruned. I might even, you know, as it goes, I might even train it sort of around and down here. You know, this is like a long-term project, and I don't want to be every winter outside covering a tree up with a bit of polythene. I mean, up against a wall or a fence, south-facing, of course, because they do appreciate the warmer temperature that the wall, the microclimate that the wall will help to provide by absorbing the heat from the sun, and then it radiates out. But in here, you know, I can just leave it in here, and here it is. And excuse me, last year I had a massive crop off of this tree, even though it was the first year in this spot. Prior to this, I had the tree in another polytunnel growing in a pot, and I got it from Blackmore Nurseries, I think 2015 or 2016, something like that. And I wanted to purchase a UK bred variety, but they didn't have any in stock at the time, and I really wanted to get a peach tree for that summer, because you know, I've always enjoyed growing peaches and, you know, grapes, something that I won't call them exotic fruits because they're not really, are they, but something just a little bit different to, you know, what you consider your normal fruit to grow here in the UK or a similar climate, such as your apples and your pears. You guys get the idea. But first year, you know, it had already leafed out when I got it. It was a pot-grown one. It already leafed out, and the peaches in the box had fell to the floor. And, you know, no crop that year. But the following year, oh dearie me, it really did. You know, reward me with a lot of really juicy, nice peaches. And I've got videos on my peach playlist of what I grew it in, the growing medium in the pot. I had a bit of horse manure in there. I think I had calcified seaweed, good quality compost, and maybe even some coffee ground. But you have to check the video out to have a look. So you can hear that rain now. and I can just imagine the water droplets going all over the tree, and of course perfect temperature for peach leaf curl to thrive. You know, you really don't want to get peach leaf curl. I mean, I've spoke about this story before. I used to know a gentleman who's sadly passed now, but he told me that once he had a lovely, beautiful peach tree, and he said when he was younger that you could grow peaches outside, and you know, peach leaf curl wasn't a problem. But nowadays, he said he had a tree, and he said he got over about 400 peaches per year off of it, which I think is an amazing crop, really. But one year it got peach leaf curl, and the following year it never woke up from dormancy. So you want to avoid it if you can. I think this tree cost me about £30, which for the amount of fruit that it gives me, I'm quite happy with. And it's a good quality tree, and I'm hoping that I will get a decent crop off of it this year. So, looking at it, the buds are starting to swell now. Here, look. You can just see that there, and some of these will be leaves, and they've got a very nice ornamental appeal, I find, peaches. They've got some really beautiful sort of pink purple blossom, which I really like. And one thing is, they generally do excuse me, blossom a little bit earlier than a lot of fruits such as apples or pears, etc. And that of course can be a problem, particularly if the tree's growing outside with frost damage. Now, this is one thing that's very important if you're going to grow a tree in a polytunnel, and that is the fact that this is self-fertile, which what that means is it can produce fruit from its own pollen. I don't have to worry about cross-pollination with another peach. So although plants do benefit from, let's say there was another peach tree in the vicinity or whatever, and I was cross-pollinating it with a paintbrush, they can benefit from a little bit of cross-pollination from another peach tree or cherry tree, in the case of a cherry tree for instance, in the same location. But that is one good thing about modern day sort of plant breeding, and because of course generally, unless I have the door open, the bees aren't going to get in here when the blossoms are out, so pollination would be very difficult, and don't have time to, well, I would have time, or I could have time, but I don't, there's other things I can be doing, isn't there? So other than going around sort of pollinating them from another tree that I've got over here. So self-fertile variety is great if you're going to be growing inside a polytunnel. And over here, same again, the cherry tree, this is self-fertile as well, and I know I've stated all of this before in previous videos, but I do care about my subscribers and my viewers, really do. I want to make sure that when you are going into the world of growing fruit trees or fruit whatever, you are doing it, informed. I mean, there's people out there that know a lot more than me, but I've made a lot of mistakes, and what I'm doing is telling you guys some of the mistakes I made, and you can see what I'm doing here, just so that you can help learn a bit quicker, really, without having to go through the expense of trees dying of peach leaf curl, or you're not getting fruit because of cross-pollination issues, etc. So the cherry tree here, the reasons I got this in here is simply because growing cherries outside, the birds tend to get about 9 out of 10 of them. They really do. They'll even eat them when they're green, so and unripe. So that's why I've got this little dwarf cherry tree in here. This is variety Stella, Canadian variety, and I believe it was the first self-fertile variety bred or whatever. Certainly the first one in the UK, I believe. And Stella, Canadian variety, absolutely great crop last year. Put out loads of growth, you can see up there. And I'm hoping again for another year of a great crop. I really am. Now, what else? Down here, you may remember me grapes that I set. I set this variety here, variety Autumn Royal, which is a Californian variety growing in a polytunnel. Got a video on that. So basically the message is, if you're going to be buying some trees, make sure you do your research, because you don't want to waste your money, you don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste your efforts. So prevent peach leaf curl, and you don't want the birds to get your cherries. I mean, you can have large cherry trees outside. Of course, if you get so many cherries, it doesn't matter, but covering them up has its own problems. So there you go. All the best. Speak soon.